Today on the WEInvested Podcast, we sit down with Piper Johnson, visual artist, curator, and founder of Piper J Gallery and Ridgeline Gallery right here in Truckee, California. Piper is redefining the modern mountain art scene through curated gallery spaces that connect collectors with bold contemporary artists while helping shape Truckee into a destination for art, culture, and creativity. Piper, how are you?
Doing good. Yeah, thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you for inviting us into this incredible art gallery that you've built. This place is amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's nice to have you. Yeah, it's great to be able to share it with people.
Absolutely. So you moved from Boston to Lake Tahoe in the mid 90s for skiing, but you ended up building a career in fine art. What was the moment you realized this wasn't just a hobby?
Oh boy. I think, when something starts taking a lot of your time and money, you're like, well, let's see how I can figure out how to make money out of this if I'm going to be putting in so much time and money. I had already had a business at the time, and it kind of started out saying like, well, I was taking a lot of art workshops and classes, and I thought, well, if I just get into a couple galleries and maybe get a website and some business cards, and I sell a few paintings now and then I can write off these painting trips that I'm doing. Because I was taking these painting workshops in France, and I took come to find out, like, all the most beautiful places, when people host a painting workshop, a plein air, go outside and paint, that hosts them in some of the most beautiful places in the world. Yes. So for a time there, I was just that was my vacation, go away and paint. I owned some hair salons at the time, so that was my outlet and my escape. So it started just as innocently like that, and then it, there's a whole nother, then it just kept going. And then at some point, I just decided I wanted to do more and more and more with my art. And then I sold my hair salon in 2014 to focus more on my art. And then in 16 is when I opened the first gallery. And I never intended on having other artists. It was just going to be my studio and my art and my partner's art and her studio. It was like, 80% art studio and just 20% gallery. And now, fast forward 10 years later, the rent's just way too high to justify any of it being art studio. It all has to be, like it's transitioned to 100% gallery from studio. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so you mentioned you were a hairdresser and you owned a salon for a while. How was that transition from, the beauty industry now into making and selling art?
Yeah. Probably like the translatable skills for sure, the relationship building, building a clientele, trying to build repeat business, personal branding. Yes. Obviously my salons were in Incline Village, so I had, I was used to working with an upscale, luxury, high-end clientele, and obviously creative. And just, consistency. I think the reason people go back for any service is for the consistency. So same thing with the gallery. If you came in and you bought some work, and if you come back 6 months later and you're shopping, you want to make sure they're not all of a sudden, selling guns. I don't know. Right. Whatever. Like, right. They're not all of a sudden just completely shifted and it's a whole different aesthetic. Or like, when you go to those restaurants and like, we have a new chef and a new menu, and you're like, really? I just want what I had last time,
Absolutely. So you've built Piper J Gallery into a destination for contemporary art. What gap did you see in the market that others were missing?
I just felt like, for people that lived here a lot, like if you spent a lot of time here, it gets kind of old to have I know we have a beautiful bear here, but this is obviously a very contemporary take on it. But I was feeling like, okay, it's one thing if it's just your vacation home you just come to once in a while and you want to have the whole mountain theme, pine cones and bears and just Tahoe pictures everywhere. But if you if it's your primary home, or you you spend a lot of time coming up here, that gets old. Like you realize I can go outside and see pine cones and I can go outside and see mountains, and I don't need to like, so there really wasn't a whole lot of contemporary art or abstract art. And as you're seeing the architecture going more and more modern up here, I mean, people still wanted to have a connection to the place and to nature and outdoors and like why they live here, and for it to, I mean, it's still not the same as like, you know, even if it is more contemporary, what you'd find in a city, more urban gallery. We still tailor to mountain living, but in a more modern way. And we just didn't really see most of the galleries seemed to be catering more to the tourists and not enough. It didn't seem like people were really focused on the homeowners.
Right.
You know.
So one of the services that you offer is in-home art sampling and consulting. But how important is it to remove friction in that buying process?
Yeah, because especially on a larger scale piece and a larger price point, more of an investment, you know, people are a little, you know, hesitant, like, oh, I'm not sure if it's the right size or how it's going to work in the home. So to be able to say, you know what, we'll bring it over, you can live with it, you can see how you feel, you can, you know, experience it. You get to have, you know, you can, you know, keep it for a week or two and see how, and we just realized when we could get the art into the home, it's completely different how you experience it in the gallery and then when you see it in your environment. And sometimes it goes vice versa. Sometimes there's pieces they really like in here and they get it into their home and it's just not quite what the, you know, the energy they were wanting in the space. And then sometimes we bring other things that they thought were like they kind of liked it in the gallery, but once they saw it in their home, it really came alive in that environment it's kind of meant to live in.
Absolutely. And that, again, that in-home art sampling seems like such an innovative concept. How did you come up with that idea?
Yeah, I mean, it just basically started just innocently, like when, you know, when people would have that objection, I guess you could say, or that challenge in sales, it was like, well, why don't I just bring it over and you see what you think? You know, it was you know, because of my background, just wanting to be of service, right? It's always, because my background for so long was just in the service industry, I just felt like, well, this is like a unique service that when they buy online, they don't get to experience in their home first. Or how can I provide something that's a unique service? So it was more wanting to be, really be helpful. Like, I don't want to sell someone something that they don't love and they aren't going to love living with. And the best way to find that out is for them to experience it in their home.
You owned a gallery in Incline Village before opening Piper J in Truckee in 2016. What did you learn from that experience?
Well, I learned that I needed to be in an area where there's, you know, a concentration of like location, right? I learned a browsing district, an area where people come to explore and people walking by. And I mean, it worked for a while. I was there the first 5 years. And like I said, I had owned galleries in the town. I had lived there 27 years and owned a few different galleries over the years. So I knew so many people and I knew a lot. So that kept the gallery going for quite a while, all the contacts and everybody. But then after a while, after you've burned through like all your clients and you realize you need to branch out to a bigger. And just from what I was observing about art galleries and all the most successful ones were in areas where there were a lot of galleries, you know, and galleries just tend to do better. You know, like Carmel has 60 galleries. Wow. I mean, and they all, you know, so I mean, of course there's the 80-20. I'm sure, you know, 20% of them making 80% of the money, but still, all the towns that, you know, it just seems to be when they come together, they do a lot better than being, you know, kind of on their own. So it was exciting. Even though there was only a few other galleries in Truckee, it was the only place around. I mean, from south, like anywhere around the lake, even Reno, there was nowhere where there were like multiple galleries in one area.
I mean, and what I found fascinating when we were talking before we started recording is your knowledge of the broader market. So, I mean, you mentioned Carmel, you mentioned Wyoming and these different markets that are thriving, and so that shows me that, I mean, you do your homework, you really study the industry that you're in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have, there's several galleries I follow and aspire to, and I'm in their newsletters, and I'm looking at, and it's good to have kind of the next level that you'd aspire to be. And and it started because I was, in a gallery myself as an artist. You start studying galleries, which ones are successful, which markets are successful. It started out researching it in terms of my own art career, because I used to be in a gallery myself in Carmel, and I was trying to get into a gallery in Jackson, when it was more about my art, and I was, courting some galleries in Park City, and this was all when it was more singularly focused around just growing my art career. But then I realized that the way to scale is, I can only make so much art, right? So, yeah.
I mean, and speaking of your own personal art, running a gallery means that you're an artist, a curator, a business owner, and an art consultant, sometimes all in the same day. How do you protect your creative practice inside all of that?
I think we're to be continued. You may need to come back in a year and I can answer that question. That's the challenge. That is the challenge. That is kind of one of my next hurdles to, well, yeah, I haven't protected it that well, to be honest. It has to some degree taken a back seat too. But I've kind of accepted that that's what it takes right now to get the gallery to where I need to be. If I need to, uh, in a way, it's been nice because my creative time has now gone back to how it started, as just to create as a therapeutic outlet and for fun, and it's gone full circle kind of back to a hobby, because I've taken the pressure off of having to sell my art, because I've got plenty of art to sell. So, and because of that, actually, I make a lot less art, but the art I do make, maybe I've created my own like supply and demand problem, but more exclusivity. So when I do make a piece and come in, people are like, "Oh wow," That's not my intention. I'm, doing it just for the pure joy of it again, and which is kind of nice. It's no longer a job, right? Because we have we have plenty of great artists and great art to sell. I don't feel there's a need for it necessarily. More the need for me to make it than there is, yeah.
So, out of those many different hats that you wear that we mentioned earlier, which hat drives the business forward the most?
Probably the consulting, my curatorial eye, after however many, I figured out if I had galleries over 10 years, and every month we hung a new exhibition and featured a different artist. So that's over 500 exhibits I've hung, shows I've hung. So I can quickly tell this size wall, I can quickly go, that's 48 inches wide. That's whatever Tetris game in my mind of what fits into which pieces. I can just quickly, I know for that wall you want this size, and for that wall you want that size, and how to hang art for the space, the right scale for the space, the right, it's just, you get a bunch of art, and you have to figure out how to hang it all and get the pieces to all fit in the right spots and where they're going to look the best, and so to be able to come into someone's home and even to be able to help them with some of their existing art, because say they really love a piece that we bring, but they don't have the right spot, and I'm like, well, if you move that piece over here and you took that piece and you put it here, and even helping them with their own, oh, I never thought about putting that piece there, and then you could put this piece here, oh my gosh, that's brilliant, blah, blah, blah. And it's because I just come with a fresh perspective and a fresh eye. And especially when I'm helping them, and then they don't see it as me selling, right? And I really am trying to help them have what they want. If they love this piece, we'll find a spot for it. We'll make it work.
You change your exhibits monthly and host artist receptions during the Truckee Art Walk. What's your philosophy on why consistency and rhythm matter in the art gallery world?
Yeah. I mean, keeping it fresh, giving people a reason to come back, right? If they're going to come in and they feel like they're just going to see all the same stuff, why come back? Sometimes it's also, it gives us, by having a fresh exhibit and a new artist to feature every month, and a reception date on the calendar every month, it gives us a deadline to like have the art up, have the gallery looking good, have the labels on the wall, if we didn't have that, we could get kind of lax on, we've got to get the inventory into the system, we've got to get it on the website, we've got to get, and then got to get out the newsletter, we've got to get it on social. And so it just, all those little pieces that ultimately feed the business. Now I've created like a self-imposed kind of some urgency around it. And it gives us a reason to reach out to collectors. Like, oh, we got some new pieces in we think you might like. We'd love to come by. It gives us something to invite people in for something specific. It gives us a lot of tools, a reason to make a reel, a reason, sometimes how you just run out of reasons. Like, what am I going to say? What do I do? And I've created a monthly reason.
And so for people who may not be familiar with the Truckee Art Walk, would you mind giving a little bit of backstory or history about the creation or the origin story behind the Truckee Art Walk?
Yeah. So like I said, I've been doing exhibitions every month and having monthly art receptions, and we would always kind of, some would be more successful than others. And what we found was when we'd have a group show, multiple artists promoting the event, you'd have a lot more people come. Even if it was a fairly well-known artist, it's still just their network and our network. And, we're hitting up the same people every month, inviting them to exhibits. So after a while, so we thought, well, and I've been trying to coordinate with the other galleries to all have openings on the same night. And, some were more receptive than others. So then I got this idea, start looking around. Almost every mountain town, or even a lot of towns, not even mountain towns, that have any kind of art scene, they have a monthly art walk. They have a once a month, people come and all the galleries coordinate, Sun Valley, Park City, Bozeman, Whitefish. They have a monthly. So I thought, well, that's what we need. We need something that's going to draw people to come to Truckee, not just to come to my gallery, but to come to Truckee. And the cool thing about the art walk is that it's not just the galleries, we have RMU and Alibi, and we have other businesses besides art-related businesses hosting artists for that night. So, because there's so many, one thing we've learned here too is that there's so much talent. There's so many artists here, like really talented artists, and there's only so many galleries, only so much wall space, only so many opportunities for them to exhibit. So this gives a lot of artists that wouldn't really have an opportunity to show their work. So anyway, you come downtown, there's a map, and it shows the different locations that are hosting an artist, and you get to go around. It's really a meet the artist event. You get to meet local artists. You can see them creating, a lot of them create work during the art walk, so you can watch them creating work. And a lot of them obviously will have work for sale if you want to, support. It's a way to come support the cultural district, the creative economy, feel a part of. And I think it's one of the coolest things I like is it's bringing a lot of locals downtown that wouldn't come, because locals are like, on the weekend, they're like, they kind of want to avoid the tourist scene or whatever. But this is it's really kind of community, really feeling like they're starting to see some of the same people coming and looking forward to it. Yeah. And I was sharing with you earlier that I think it's just so much easier to promote the town as a place to come for art than just come to my gallery. Right. It's gotten a lot more excitement. And so in turn, out of promoting other artists and other galleries and, what you would see as competition, by promoting more broadly everybody, it's in turn, when the tide comes in, all boats rise. So it's helped us a lot. We've got a way better turnout for our receptions now than we ever did.
I had a chance to attend the April 2026 Truckee Art Walk, and it was incredible. I met some amazing artists, and it was so many people just kind of flowing in and out of the gallery. So it was an amazing experience.
Awesome.
I think you guys have really curated something special here in the town of Truckee. But, with that being said, you've built a roster of regional artists while also showing national and international work. How do you decide who gets wall space? What are you actually looking for?
Ooh, that is a tough one. Um, hmm, yeah. You know, we want to provide things that we think or people would actually want to live with and be in their home, and things that we can envision in a modern mountain home, obviously, but and things that feel fresh and that people go, wow, I've never seen anything quite like that. So anytime we look for artists that have a distinct style and a unique perspective. And we're at the point now, as our galleries have grown and our overhead's grown and everything else has grown, that we're working with more and more established artists. Um, so yeah, and it's a partnership. It's really the artists that their squeaky wheel gets the grease too. So,
Right.
I have to say, some of the artists that are the most prolific and the most bringing us new work the most frequently. I mean, they're getting more screen time, right? They're just because everyone loves to show what's new and what's fresh. And so that's a big part of it. Whereas the artists that don't bring us new work for a long time, it's kind of slowly becomes, yeah.
So, for someone buying their first piece, what should they be thinking beyond I like this?
I mean, would I want to live with it, and would I get tired of it, and does it make me feel good, does it because you want it to outlast your couch and your furniture. You want original art to go with you. I mean, I've heard of people saying they've bought a house specifically because they wanted it to have a wall big enough to show this one piece that they loved. Or, I mean, that's how it should be. It should be something that's going to be part of your your theme. That's what's going to make your home, no matter what home you have. So, imagine living with it beyond just the fact that it matches this room, that you'd want it in any living room you had.
Right. So, you kind of hinted at this earlier, but I want to ask, the Truckee art scene is tied to mountain living and the outdoors. Do you see that as like a creative advantage, or does it feel like a box that limits what you can show?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely people that are real stuck on that mountain theme, and we don't we definitely don't sell as many abstracts as we do things that have a reference to the landscape or the mountains, but it does limit it to some degree. Yes, yeah. I mean, there's certain things that probably aren't going to fly, because even though the homeowners, it's like we have some artists that also do coastal things or things that are more Northern California coastal. But and I'll think, well, gosh, almost all our clients are from the Bay Area. Almost all our clients live down there. Like, this might really resonate, this piece that looks like Bodega Bay or whatever, right? But when they're here, they're not thinking of their Bay Area home. They're thinking of their mountain home. So even though the home here is modern, it's still their mountain home. So it still needs to kind of be, but we're definitely pushing the outer limits of that. And, yeah. And showing people it's okay to mix in, more and more contemporary work. And we feel like there's a lot of places to find the mountain work and less places to find more modern contemporary work. The more I'm saying, there's a lot of places to find the more traditional mountain stuff and less places to find the more contemporary work. So it's not for everyone, and that's okay. We've come to, trying to have something for everyone is kind of not going to get us where we need to be.
Right.
Because it's just impossible. So we're narrowing in on our market and trying to be known for where you want, larger pieces, more statement pieces. So we may sell less art, but make, more impactful art.
Most people don't think of art as a part of a wealth strategy, but original artwork appreciates differently than almost any other asset. What do you wish more collectors understood about the financial side of buying art?
I mean, we're not a blue chip gallery. Not all of what we represent is, necessarily wealth strategy art, but we definitely represent some artists that are definitely showing those signals of being what, I don't want to say like, oh, I can't guarantee anybody this artist is a good investment, but I can say the signals that typically, equal that are there. We have some artists that have, like, so some of the things you'd want to look for if that was your objective would be, do they have, have they been in any museum collections? Do they have a broader market? Like, are they represented in, multiple galleries? Is there a broader market than just the market, this little market? And have they ever sold on any auctions or secondary market? Yeah, I mean, and of course their career, there's two different ways you can look at it. They're established or they're on a trajectory, they're emerging. Established is obviously going to be more expensive, but if you can spot an emerging talent, that's obviously the greatest opportunity to maybe have an investment. But I can't advise on that. But what I can say, the best thing about art as an asset, is that you get to live with it. I mean, you can't put your stock certificate on the wall, right? You get to experience it while you have it. So, I mean, it's illiquid, right? It's not necessarily easy to instantly turn it into cash, but again, if you think of it as something over time, and if you can, and the benefits, it's paying dividends in terms of like the quality of life and the beauty of your home. Yes. So even if it's not bringing you like, maybe the financial reward might be really long term, but you get to, along the way, appreciate living with it, which I don't know. I mean, obviously, aside from houses and cars and boats, I mean, what else do you actually like live with as an I don't know. That's just does that make sense? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, so I mean, the art just being in your gallery alone, it comes with a certain energy. It comes with a certain feeling that's being enhanced due to the pieces that you hand selected and hand picked to be in here. So
yes.
Again, when I walk into your gallery, I feel inspired. It has a very sophisticated feel to it as well. So, I mean, I love this place.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I believe that. I believe original art has a certain energy that, that's why I feel galleries are relevant, to be able to come and museums and anywhere that we can go and we can experience the art in person. Yeah. There's an energy that doesn't come through on the screen or on a website, or in a photo in a magazine. Yeah, and by bringing the pieces to their home for people to experience how that energy is in their home, a lot of times when we're talking to people about what art they want, it's like, well, how do you want to feel in this room? Right. Do you want this room to be like lively and energizing and fun, playful? Do you want this room to be like spa-like, zen? So because there is definitely an energy, and it comes through, I feel, from the artists. Either how they were feeling when they were making it, or the process, if it was a very vigorously painted, like expressionistic, or if it was very like tediously done, and like you almost get mesmerized into that. Whoa, they must have just like went OCD on that, so you get kind of, exactly. I like art that you can see the hand of the artist. I tend to like the textural, where you can see the strokes and. Then you kind of get to feel a part of the process, and whatever they were feeling when they were making it, that they got to just, that's a hard thing to describe, the energy of a painting. That's personal, but yeah, I believe in it for sure.
Do you have a favorite piece in here right now?
I have to say I'm really drawn to that one over there. The simplicity of it and the color of that. I don't even know how to describe the color of that sky.
Yeah.
And I know I've seen it in real life. Like, I know I've seen that color, but and just the restraint, sometimes it's not what you paint, it's what you don't paint.
Right.
And the fact that he, and I really think it is important to give the eye an area to rest. That's a very very restful and sophisticated piece. Yeah, it's probably my current favorite.
They were able to like utilize the space and let it breathe, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
You've you've been featured regionally and even appeared on PBS, but you still stay rooted in Truckee. Has that always been an intentional choice for you?
Yeah, at one point, I thought about, because God, there really isn't an art scene here, and I don't know if you can really make it as an artist, or I mean, as an art gallery, or maybe I do want to move to Jackson or Park City, or a town that has a whitefish, or a town that has like I mean, I always loved mountains, but that has a thriving art scene and art culture, instead of like, I don't know, if it's going to happen, am I going to live long enough? Is it going to happen in my lifetime? Like, I certainly know it's possible in Truckee, but like, will it ever get there? So, but this is home, and it's kind of like, I mean, you can either work where you live or live where you work, and um, so that's one of the reasons I kind of shifted my, like, there's no reason why Truckee can't be any of those places, and it's everything I can do to kind of create a market here versus trying to like move the gallery to a market. We'll see. That's not off the table. After a few years, we still feel like, God, we would do so much better if we were in Jackson or Park City, or, I mean, it's always a possibility. But as long as I think we can do it here, I think there's a lot of potential. I think there's no reason why Truckee can't have the market that those other areas do.
10 years from now, what does success for Piper J Gallery look like to you? And what do you want it to represent?
Oh, well, maybe another location in one of those towns I just talked about. But yeah, that the artists are thriving, that the artists we represent are like one of the most successful things from last year was one of our artists, he just said to me, like, I bought a brand new car for the first time. He had it sold through so much through our gallery, and he just felt like he was finally making it as an artist. And you hear this saying, like, it's hard to make a living as an artist, and I always say, well, we're not out to make a living, we're out to make a killing. I know it sounds hokey, but it's like, if you're just trying to make a living, then that is hard. But if you approach it like, yeah, and so seeing other artists thrive, and seeing them actually being able to, just anything we can do to break down that starving artist conversation, and that's hard in the art business, and just more artists feel empowered, like, wow, I can do this. Like, I really can, like, do what I love and share my talent and make not just a living, but, okay, here's another line, not just make a living, but make a life worth living while they're living, right? Not after they're dead. Right. That's the other thing with artists. It's like, this shouldn't be like you have to, like, wait till you're gone, or wait till you're old, or wait till you're like, it's neat. I truly see it as a pathway for people to, make a quality of life, and that to be able to enjoy their life. Yeah.
It's important to receive your flowers while you can still smell them.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how does it feel, just seeing your vision come to life here in Truckee? Like, again, seeing the people now becoming interested in art, and seeing the locals come downtown to experience these monthly art shows that you have. Like, how does it feel seeing it all come to life?
It's exciting. I mean, every time I see a open space downtown, I'm like, oh, there's somebody to open a gallery. And who do I know? Who can I encourage? Who can I, because I just know, like, yeah, because it is exciting, because I think that this really, it's high time that this area have, more than just recreational tourism, but have a cultural tourism aspect, and just be a more diverse, even not just for the artists, but for the quality of life of the residents, to have, an artsy just benefits so many people in so many ways,
Well, I appreciate the work that you're doing and the work that you've done. And you're not selling art, but you're selling a lifestyle along with the context of what it means to be in Truckee and kind of be a part of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. So I really appreciate what you bring to the city and what you bring to the town. And I look forward to watching you continue to grow, continue to build and expand. So thank you for this interview today. Thank you for letting us be in your space. This has been amazing.
Thank you so much, Wesley. This was a real treat. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's fun. It's fun to, I just don't always even think about my business and from those perspectives. So it's very validating that, wow, I do have something to share. So thank you for that opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Piper.